We're hot, by the way.
Still.
Okay. Well, thanks for the heads up, dude.
At least start the timer right here.
Oh, dude, you didn't even start the stage timer.
That's our tea.
Lev, I have a question. Do you live switch?
Yeah. Oh, he's lost. Oh, there he is. He's back.
He live switches. I know he live switches.
But we were talking about interest rates at our podcast.
Yeah.
And I think you guys are completely wrong about where.
Well, why was I wrong? What did I say?
Well, maybe not you per se. I think it was more Hard Money Dean. He thinks rates are coming down. He thinks people aren't selling because they're waiting for those rates. He was like, why would I move if rates are 7%? I'm like, Dean, you live in a $2 million house. Like, what's your next move?
Yeah.
And he kind of didn't give me an answer. So
he wants to go coastal. He wants to be in La Jolla.
But if you go coastal, you're paying anyways $10 million. You don't care about 7% rates.
No, I think you do. I mean, listen, everybody cares.
You're at an exit point. You sold Cardiff. You're gone. You're cashing out. You're paying $10 million. You're putting $5-6 million down. At that point.
Maybe.
You don't care too much about 7% rates.
He'll be able to, I think for the next house he buys, right? You borrow based off of the money, right? The assets you have in your brokerage account.
Yeah.
So you're borrowing under what the 10-year is anyway.
Yeah.
But just like a point of clarification, with regard to interest rates, the reason why Dean thinks that rates will come down indubitably, without a doubt,
that's
this
a good
year.
word.
Yeah. Don't ask me to spell it. So smart enough to be a lawyer, not smart enough to be a doctor.
Take it.
We're in a presidential cycle. And
so do you think that's going to...
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
And here's why I know rates will come down with 100% certainty.
Pause.
Yeah.
Where are they coming down from? Where we're at now or where they will be by June, July, August?
Rates will be in the 6s by the time elections happen.
And they're right now in the 7s, say high 6s, 7s.
Yeah. I think you can expect low 6s.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to bet? Should we bet?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we going to bet?
Seal it with a kiss?
I don't know if where are we after hours, after dark, or what are we?
After dark. Let's go.
So maybe we do seal it with a kiss. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Too far.
Listen, when you're married, you don't get a lot of action. You got to take
action.
Got to get, got to take what life throws at you. But here's why I think rates are going to come down. Rates will come down because the war that we are financing in Ukraine has failed to turn us into a wartime economy. When you have a wartime economy, right, historically speaking, industries are thriving that are either directly connected to the war effort, tangentially related, or adjacent to, right, companies that are involved in procuring, right, equipment, etc. For the wartime economy.
And do you think we're in a wartime scenario? I mean, I'm ignorant to this point. You probably know better than me, but I don't think we're in a wartime economy. I remember Iraq, Afghanistan. Those were war times.
They were, but I don't think
direct conflict. On this, I don't think.
Yeah. Well,
listen, troops.
We turned off Afghanistan. So we spent 20 years in Afghanistan. I think Russia spent 10. We double, take it. Or hey, do you want to do 10? And I'm like, and Biden's like, nah, dude.
Double
it and give it to the next person.
Yeah.
Or Trump, maybe, whoever, Obama. Double it and give it to the next president.
More. But you bring up a good point, right? We turned off Afghanistan. They're like, hey, where do we put?
Yeah. Now we got to go to war with somebody else. Generally, Republicans are looked at as bellicose presidents, right? Like people who want to start wars.
Republicans are
generally looked at as such. However, Democrats are usually the ones that get the U.S. into war. That's just the way historically it works. But I think the connotation is that Republicans are more bellicose, versus their Republican or their Democrat counterparts. So going back to it, I don't think we have that wartime economy. I've had this discussion with a number of different people and have fought tooth and nail about how it's been a failed effort. With regard to the accommodative monetary policy that usually comes with the wartime economy, you saw that with Iraq, rates came down, right? Early 2000s. Then you saw it with Afghanistan, rates come down again. But it really hasn't happened with regard to Ukraine. We've given them, Lev, how much money have we spent in Ukraine?
Too much money.
Billions.
It's like 50 or 100. Give me the right number.
But it's not, I mean, we're not in direct conflict. So I get your point. We're giving them money, but it's printed money. We're in a printing cycle.
It's not necessarily money. We're giving them
Assets.
I think we're mostly giving them assets.
75 billion.
And they just value it, right?
And they value it. Yeah. So, we haven't given them much money cash-wise, but what they're asking for now is cash. And the difficult part about cash is the cash has to come from somewhere, right? We have to print it, right? And that creates debt. And of course, who's the largest buyer of U.S. debt? China. And who's China's biggest trading partner? The U.S. Who's also one of China's largest trading partner? Russia. And who's going to war with Russia? Ukraine. So it's a little bit ironic, right? And I think the Republicans realize the irony where it's like, sure, we'll give you another $50 billion. They want it cash. Sure, they want weapons, but they want cash so they can pay their soldiers, so they can pay their teachers.
Yeah,
so
morale.
Because they've run out of money.
Yeah. I think they're winding down. I think that thing's done in the next 6 months.
Yeah. No, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done because I don't think they tried to tie it to Israel. That's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work.
But that still doesn't answer the issue with inflation that we're dealing with here. And that's not coming down. I mean, the reports are here. They're coming down not as fast as everyone expected. Gas prices are back up.
Yeah, commodity prices are at all-time highs. Yeah. And that's not going to change.
But so why do you think rates are going to come down? You can't cut rates, and that's going to just triple down on inflation, quadruple down maybe. You cannot cut rates and get away with it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. But what I think is, in order for Biden to extend his tenure in office, right? Because this is his lame duck year. In order for Biden to extend his tenure in office, there has to be something remarkable that he does in this last year. And it's not obviously going to be Ukraine, right? He's not all of a sudden going to declare victory wow, Ukraine pulled it off. They beat Russia. No one has ever beat Russia. No one's ever. In history.
Yeah.
No one beats Russia. It's like saying you beat China. No one's beat China. Even the Chinese were the Mongolians will come in and they will take over, but Chinese culture will win in the end. And what happened? Who is the country called Mongolia?
No,
it's called China. And then Mongolia is a little tiny, little portion right above it that has no economy.
Yeah.
It's their biggest export is ice fishing.
And you think cutting interest rates or forcing or implying that he had anything to do with it will help him win the election?
I think it's his only viable play.
I don't think he has to do anything drastic to win again. I think there's a lot of people who still hate your boy.
He's not my boy. I just listen.
You're wearing the Air Trumps right now.
Are these the Air? Are these the Air Force Trumps or whatever?
The J6s.
The J6s.
Oh, we can't talk about that. Now we're banned from.
We said J.
Yeah. Okay.
We said J6s.
Jordan 6s.
Jordan 6s.
Yeah. Jordan 6s.
Yeah.
But
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Same date.
Same date.
But yeah, I think he's gonna win hands down. There's nothing he can do to lose. That's why I think he's just walking, talking, doing the same thing. He goes to the border. Trump goes to the border. He knows what he's doing. He's a professional politician. He does not lose. He doesn't lose?
Well, listen, all right. So I don't want to argue with you there. He is a career politician who probably has added zero value to this world.
Hey, no comment.
He's like a Nancy Pelosi type guy, right? Enters office with, no assets and then leaves office a billionaire.
Off of $100,000 salary?
Yeah, that's fine.
Dollars.
But the reason why I think rates will have to come down is because I think he's going to want something to hang his hat on. There's been nothing remarkable, right, in the first 3 years of his presidency. He's going to say we winded down that horrible war in Afghanistan and time will whitewash history as it always does and will make him look like a hero, right? But I think how they wound down Afghanistan was a nightmare. You spent 20 years and thousands of U.S. service people's lives, billions of dollars to get rid of the Taliban and replace them with the new Taliban. So not a great look, but I think...
But everyone forgot about that. No one even cares about that.
Right.
It's so early.
Yeah, no, but time will whitewash history, and he'll look like a genius for what he did, right? He'll get a presidential library, and everybody will tout the genius of how he ended a 20-year debacle in the Middle East. Yep. But
and let's say, okay, I'll play along with your theory here. Rates. How many rate cuts are you expecting before the election?
2.
And 2 rate cuts of what? Half a point, quarter point. You can't go half a point. You're nuts at 2 half a points.
I think it's 2 quarters.
So you're still 2 quarters. You're still not to a point where it's a huge difference.
I anticipate mid to low 6s is where the 10-year
Treasury right now is at 4 where's my iPad? 4.23. Dude,
and welcome back to Resentment-Filled Friday.
He saw it coming. He was watching me. 10 years at 4.3 today.
Okay. Yeah.
So 2 rate cuts would essentially, I mean, it doesn't really correspond directly, but you're looking at 3.5, 3.6.
Okay.
I just don't think it's there.
Yeah.
I think it's going to hover around here for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
4%, 10-year.
I anticipate some level of accommodative monetary policy leading up to the presidential election, which will ultimately cause mortgage rates to drop to the mid to the low. I can see 6 1/3 to 6.5, something like that. So I'm not going to say Bitcoin's going to be at 70,000 by next week. That's my boy Robert Croak. That's his job.
Could be.
Yeah, that's his job. It could be.
I think that has a better possibility than low 6s, which is sad.
I don't know too much about crypto. I do hold a lot of crypto, but I think I only bet on two coins, right? Ethereum and Bitcoin.
I thought you were going to say like actual money.
Shiba Inu. No, I do not buy. I do not buy those coins.
Gold, maybe.
Yeah, but I think
we'll see. We have it on camera. We have the bet in place.
It's time
sealed
stamped,
with the chip,
right? You heard it here first.
I think they're going to go up to 8% interest rates in the next 2 months.
Oh God! Only to then bring it down.
Yeah, then we'll get our 2 rate cuts. So I agree with you there. And then he'll look like a
hero
because we'll have a really slow period and economies will struggle.
This reminds me of,
and then boom, rug pull. I told Jerome Powell to reduce the rates, and he did, and we're back down to 6s, and inflation's down, and this and that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's where I think I'll agree with you. There will be something.
What you're saying right now reminds me of shitty companies like Macy's. How they're like, we're going to have a sale, right? And what do? They mark up the price to then mark it down.
Yeah.
Right. And a savvy consumer, they know that. But you can
Not
see
too many savvy people out there.
Well,
especially when it comes to necessities. You can't be too savvy out there.
Well, Macy's is a failure of a company. It is a dumpster fire, trash conflagration of a business.
How are they still around?
Well, they're not. They just announced they're closing 150 stores. I think they own like 800 or something.
They still own 800 stores?
Yeah.
And they have one in San Diego?
They own
Carpet.
They own Bloomingdale's, which is a much more profitable entity and should be spun off. There's a private equity company that's coming for their ass right now, trying to get board seats, right? And they're staving it off. But I think this current CEO of Macy's is cost cutting any underperforming Macy's stores where they're not hitting their numbers. They're just shutting. So shutting 150 stores over the next couple of years, right? They're winding them down. And they're going to double down on their more profitable, higher margin businesses, which are Blue Mercury and Bloomingdale's. Lev, you were going to say something?
They have about 500 stores.
They have 500 stores currently?
Currently, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And
they might be closing some of those, but...
Yeah, they said they're going to close like 150 of them.
Jeez.
I wonder if what I'm referring to is the total number of stores in their portfolio. So Macy's, Blue Mercury, and Bloomingdale's. But either way, they've got a bunch of underperforming stores using those like old school tactics of marking up, mark down. Really, it's like analogous, right? It's like it's an old tactic. And I think if the Fed does that and raises rates to combat what we think is this
I don't think the Fed will raise. I think the markets will raise rates, right? They're going to not cut the next time around. The 10-year will rise a little bit and keep going up.
Okay.
And then they'll make the announcement. But unemployment still beautiful.
It's really not.
All-time lows.
Employment seems a little bit soft. Did the numbers come out already?
Today.
What are the employment numbers for today? The ADP.
When you say soft, you mean month over month. But all around, we're still under 4%.
Yeah.
All-time lows. And you know who did that?
China.
Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah, because unemployment in China right now is like at 40%.
Really?
Yeah, it's really
Wow,
bad.
that's
It's
awesome.
terrible.
Half the country?
I just see it for January where it said it added 353,000 jobs.
Oh, no, the ADP employment numbers come out every Friday.
Let's say Friday? Oh, we can't say that, right?
We're not supposed to say that. Today's Wednesday. We're doing this live. Fuck it, we're going to do it live.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
That was cool.
that was cool.
But at the end of the day, if you think rates are coming down, real estate prices are going up.
They have to.
That'll mean they're going up to 20% from where they are now.
I honestly think if you didn't buy real estate within the last 5 years, right, you have missed an entry into one of the greatest real estate, residential real estate booms in modern history. I think my home, we bought it at the tail end of 18. What a play that was.
So strategy,
What a play.
right? You were
almost tripled in value.
you were like sitting there. You were like, yeah, I think I should buy a house right now. 'Cause
Yeah.
the economy. No, you needed a house.
We had a house. We just upgraded, just bought a bigger one.
Nice.
But what other
What happened to
investment?
the other house that you had? You sold it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Did that value go up triple or no?
Value went up almost double.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good move.
But in 5 years for a home price to triple, listen, bro, you're locked out. For anyone trying to buy a normal $1 million home, $2 million home, whatever the case may be, if you don't have an asset that then you can sell, right, and then get into another property because you've been renting or something, good luck.
Yeah. And do you think that was because we're in San Diego, not necessarily across the country? Because San Diego home prices did jump through the roof, and I still think we're undervalued, and I still think we're the most beautiful city in the world.
Yeah, let's go.
With the best food, with the best women, with the best beaches, with the best everything. So home prices
Better
are
women than Colombia?
Colombia.
Medellin, Colombia?
That's a country. But yeah, better than, I think so.
Really?
I've only seen them in movies, but
Yeah, I'd like to go.
most of them are fake. Fake butts, fake boobs.
Yeah, it could be pay to play.
Yeah.
Hard money, Dean.
Hard money, Dean, where you at?
Where you at, buddy?
But we do have everything going for us here on the southern tip of California.
Yeah, you've got ocean, desert, and skiing, snowboarding, all within an hour.
Yeah. The people
Hour
from
and a half.
Wisconsin who used to move out here because
Yeah.
they could still afford it aren't coming back out here. They're not moving out here anymore.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah, if you live in a flyover state, I don't know what type of appreciation you've gotten over the last few years.
You're not getting
That's like
triple.
that's the sub 2 Pace Morby thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna look for a home with no equity in Oklahoma
Yeah, that can't sell.
that can't sell. You know what I mean?
Houses here selling 12 hours.
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
And what's funny is I didn't mention this or on the podcast because we were with a realtor or real estate prophet. But
Kevin
Kevin
M.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kevin M.
But I think realtors are just shitty. They're mispricing homes still to this day.
What do you mean by that?
So they're looking at a house. You're saying, hey, Josh, I want to sell my house. And I'm going to say, oh, it's worth $2 million.
Okay.
I think that's too low. I think they're starting off too low. And people are going to argue with me and say, no, there's no inventory, so it's getting bid up.
Yeah.
No, it's because you priced it too low. And that's a strategy I use on all my homes to get more momentum. I don't think these guys are using it as a strategy. They just don't know what the true value is of a house in Southern California.
Well, they're not clairvoyant. They can't see the future. How
Not
do
even
they
about
know?
the future. I just think
Is there software out there where you're like,
there's CMAs that just compare historical data, right?
what does CMA stand for?
Comparative market analysis?
Ooh, real estate agents know what that is?
Well, it's a software.
Oh, okay.
But they look at the houses sold 6 months ago.
That's not reflective of the current
Anything.
market.
Not
Yeah.
rates, not it's stale data.
They need AI.
They need AI, and they need to be more realistic with pricing should be 20% more in San Diego.
Yeah.
Not factoring in inflation or whatever.
Yeah.
Home price. We're in San Diego. You should not be able to afford the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah.
Your house should have never been whatever you paid for it originally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree, or just you have a pretty nice house?
I do have a nice house.
Large house, great area, good school districts.
How about my backyard?
When you bought it, it wasn't really a backyard, but now it's a backyard.
Yeah, that's true. Because in California, when you buy a new build, you get dirt in the back, which I think is common in Texas too. I was looking at some new property in Texas in North Dallas, like Frisco area.
Nice.
It seems like they all have these California backyards.
But you can't do anything back there. You can't. Not much.
Yeah, they're giving you the California style backyard, the small backyard. They're just giving you either dirt or it's like sod.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, real estate prices are created by demand. There's a ton of demand. There is no supply. You just have pussy real estate agents, right? And they're setting the standard for what a home should be.
Don't you think that's weird that we allow them to?
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, I'm licensed.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they know is the point.
They know nothing.
Yeah, they don't.
I know nothing about, I have to study this stuff, right? I have to be around smart people like yourself who can enlighten me on certain
Makes
things.
me feel good.
Yeah, you should.
Smart enough to be a lawyer, not smart enough to be a doctor.
But
William
smart
Stern.
enough to give me information.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff I look at. I listen to our podcast. I listen to information online. And I know these houses are worth 30% more when I buy them, right? Because I know the investor who passes on the house just doesn't know what I know.
Yeah.
He thinks it's not going to sell at X amount of dollars. Well, I know they will.
But the real estate agents that are selling these homes are pricing it conservatively enough. And we're talking we're not talking, right, $20 million homes.
No.
Right. We're talking like somewhere between what? What's the range?
I would say 600 and 1.3, 1.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like your standard entry level home, single family detached in San Diego.
Which you can't even find now.
Right. Well, you got to get them off market.
Yeah.
Which is what you do.
Yeah.
Whereas every other real estate agent is just sitting on their hands and
Isn't that weird?
They're sitting on their hands. They're like wondering what they should do. I've got some advice for real estate agents right now. Go back to serving.
Ooh.
Yeah. Go back to serving. Because that's where you belong, right? That's where your skills are, in serving people. And when there's nothing to serve, right, real estate wise, go back to serving food. And then when there is an opportunity, you can re-enter. But,
That was harsh.
yeah, it's called a stern. Well, it's not called a stern time.
No, it's not.
It's called after hours.
You gotta be a little sexier with the approach.
Hey, maybe hey girl, maybe you should go back to being a cocktail waitress because you got it going on.
There you go. See, that was a lot less aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta work on that.
Yeah. Now hurry up and get me a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Dumb.
But I think, what do they know? They know nothing. They're conservatively pricing, if they're not on the buying side, right? If they're the seller's agent, then they're pricing it conservatively enough to the extent where they know what these fuckers are doing. They're thinking about what the commission is, right?
They want that money, baby.
Make sure you're live. Yeah, baby. They're trying to price the home, anticipating what their commission check will be, and then how they're going to spend that. So if they're selling a $1.5 million home, they're like, all right, man, make 45 grand or whatever the case may be. Split that with my, whatever it's called. My broker. I get 80%, they get 20%. So what's 80% of 45? 8 times 4 is 32, whatever. They're making like 35 grand on the deal, something like that.
Yeah.
8 times 5 is 4. 4 plus 32 is 36. So we're making $36,000 on the deal.
We needed that hangover where the guy's trying to count cards. And
they like, yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah, that overlay.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Yeah, okay.
We don't do
Not
that
on this show, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, like $36,000. So make $36,000 if they sell a $1.5 million home. If the split is 80-20, right, with their brokerage. I'm a Jew. I have the mind of a champion.
I like it.
Double check my math.
It's pretty close.
80%, 1.5. No one cares.
No one cares. Yeah.
No one cares. But moving along, that's how they do it, right? And they're trying to not get greedy. The one thing that I've learned in life, and this is relatable for business deals, it's relatable for real estate, it's relatable for anything involving negotiations. Actually, there's two things I've learned. One is that pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. I think it's really important, right? Because it tells the tale of greed, right? It's the cautionary tale of greed. The second lesson that I've learned in negotiating is diplomacy. So if you're going to go into a negotiation and you want it to be a diplomatic exchange, you have to be willing to walk away with less than you wanted. Conversely, the other party also has to be willing to walk away with less than they wanted. And if both parties can agree on a sum, on a price that is less than each of them wanted, then it's a fair exchange. Then it's a diplomatic exchange, and the deal will work. And those are the two key negotiating concepts in my mind that I bring to every, boardroom.
You gotta clip that. That was good stuff.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
Lev, clip.
That's probably your best clip I've heard.
Well, it's funny, and I'm looking at the time.
Don't do that.
All right,
don't ruin it. Don't ruin the moment. Just get your cigarette and puff away. Okay,
Sounds good.
That was a good moment. No, but I agree. That was good.
Yeah, because I think real estate agents, they're walking this delicate line, which is pricing the home to sell quickly so they can move on to the next one, but also anticipating what the commission check will look like so they can pay their bills. And in my opinion, right, with a weird market like we have, with limited homes for sale and interest rates constantly changing, it's not binary. It's not yes or no, high or low. They have to really, right? There's a space in the market for artificial intelligence to be able to determine okay, well, given the employment numbers, given inflation, given these commodity prices, given the real estate market in this area, right? And looking at the trends and going, and then looking specifically,
supply, all that stuff. Yeah.
And the jobs report has to be specific to that area. It can't be the global jobs.
What averages.
How does that make any sense?
Even so much prices. The average it dropped, or pending sales were down 7%. It's Indiana didn't sell anything because they were snowed in.
Yeah.
But California or San Diego was up 20%. But they don't talk about that. It's
no.
But I like it. AI for.
Dude, we were having this discussion with Ricky Caruth, remember? And it got heated because we were talking about what the fuck does a buyer's agent do? He didn't like that, but I like the guy. And I said, where do you think? He's like, well, where do you see this going? And I said, to a website where you can bid on a home and there's a reserve and the most aggressive buyer gets the home. I don't know again, I'm not sure what real estate agents do, but I don't see a big future for them.
They do a lot in the sense of service.
Okay.
Price.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. So explain to me what service is.
You're a buyer's agent, right? You get a buyer. It's hard enough to get a buyer. So you're marketing yourself. You're doing all the small stuff to get the buyer. You get the buyer. What does the buyer want to do? He wants to go see houses, right? He wants some guidance on how to find a house, where to find a house. He wants access to what this real estate agent has. More importantly, he wants access to his information, right? Who's your lender? How do I get pre-approved? People don't know that. They ask their real estate agent.
Do real estate agents know that type of stuff?
They don't, but they have a lender, and they go introduce them to the lender. And now it's a handoff to the lender. They get pre-approved, come back to the realtor, go look at houses. Once they find the house of their dreams, what happens? They put the offer in. That contract in California is 32 pages long, minimum.
Wow.
I guarantee you no realtor's probably read it through. But people have questions about that, right? Buyers, sellers will have questions, and they have to answer those questions respectively and honor the contract.
I see.
Most buyers don't.
So there still is a job for a buyer's agent.
There is, but to your point, go straight to the seller's agent.
Yeah.
Why waste your time? Listing agents need to have the house more accessible to buyers, where it's smart access, it's lockbox with ID. You scan your ID,
QR code, something
where it's secure for all parties. There's no reason I should be. I went to show a house yesterday for the first time because my agent called out sick.
Did you bring that mustache with you?
I did not. I just got this today.
Oh, that's dope.
And guess what happened? The lockbox didn't work because there's no internet service. And I'm standing out there looking like an idiot. And I'm like, I remember why I don't show houses anymore.
Yeah.
But agents do not need to go unlock a door. They're not going around going, oh, look at the beautiful ceilings and the new carpet. Like, buyers aren't that stupid where they need someone to walk them through every step of the way. They just need someone to unlock the door.
What percentage of homes being shown are owner occupied? Meaning that, because back in the old days, you'd be like, I want to see this home. And the buyer's agent would negotiate with the seller's agent a time that the buyer could come see the home, or the potential buyer could come see the home, and the seller would have to not be present. Right?
Yeah, they still do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just call, schedule it with the agent or showing time. They have apps for that.
Are both agents always present, the seller's agent and the
not
buyer's?
Anymore, but sometimes.
Okay.
Old school, I had a old school client who would make me be there with them.
You as the seller's representative?
I would have to be at every showing. He was afraid. I don't know what. Just old school methods.
I heard a horror story recently. In San Diego specifically, there's this like Venezuelan gang that rolls around robbing people in our area. And
Here?
Yeah.
San Diego?
Oh, yeah. It's like this Venezuelan gang. So they come here on tourist visas and they just straight up case people and rob them.
Nice.
And it's not just San Diego. Like, what's his name was talking about it. That former UFC fighter that was married to that porn star. Oh, what was his name?
It's like 12 of them.
Oof, I can't remember his name. But he was talking about how his house got cased and robbed. And after it got robbed, he, for like 2 weeks, was just like stalking at night, looking for these guys again. And eventually he gave up. And the night he gave up, or the next night after he had given up, they robbed somebody else on the street.
So they're watching them.
They were watching.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, not cool, but.
No, it's not cool. But how it relates back to real estate was this family that I knew were selling their home in Del Sur, right? Like sort of northern San Diego County. And home was like $3-4 million. It was a nice home. And they were not home when the buyer's agent brought the potential buyer to come look at the house. And the potential buyer, of course.
This sounds like a porn I just watched. Like a scene.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And the potential buyer wasn't vetted. So they came and it was like a party of like 3 people or something. And so one of the prospective buyers was asking a bunch of questions to the buyer's agent, walking around the house, distracting them, while the other 2 kind of meandered about and just robbed him.
Damn, smart.
Yeah.
Well, there should be a vetting process. There should be pre-approvals. There should be IDs exchanged. There isn't that right now.
But the pre-approval is something you could draw up on a computer.
You need to have it with a professional lender. I mean, you can't just go to type it up. You have to vet it, right?
Yeah, couldn't you just like manufacture a letter that says XYZ mortgage
You have
company?
to call me or the lender and be like, hey, I have this buyer. He just sent this letter in.
Do they do that? Do they actually vet it?
Agents?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. See, there you go.
They don't do anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we leave pricing homes, the most important part of the job, to them.
To a salesperson
who knows nothing about economics or markets. Not all of them, but most of them.
But who are also incentivized
by the sale of that transaction. But this is the only industry that allows that. You can't go to a used car lot and the guy you're talking to, or a new car lot, and the guy goes, hey, yeah, I'm pricing this one right here.
Right, because there's like a sales manager, a finance manager, all these people, right, that are
corporate. Or there's an
MSRP on the vehicle as well.
There's something that's guiding them.
Right.
This is not. This is going historical data. I like your idea. Just bid on it.
Yeah. I think that's the most egalitarian and the most egalitarian, efficient, and democratized version of bidding and selling homes is an auction.
Yep.
Clip that up.
I like that.
Because I think it makes sense, right? Let the market dictate what the home is worth. Don't let a real estate agent determine what a home is worth. What do they know? But, right, the market knows implicitly, right? Because it's a large amount of people all competing against one another, and you can watch the bids in real time.
It's even, this whole industry is backward. And then they get the appraiser to go out there and appraise it on behalf of the lender.
Right.
What's the appraiser is dumber than the realtor.
No
college education. He's using the same software they are.
Can you be a home inspector and also an appraiser?
Yeah, you just need to do all the licensing.
Yeah.
But it's just even the banks are archaic. It's like, come on, banks.
Well, they don't care either because all of this stuff gets packaged and sold.
But they
to
pretend
Fannie
they
and Freddie.
do. They pretend like they care.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. They absolutely do not care.
They pretend like they do. Maybe for the government's sake.
They rubber stamp it. It's analogous. It really reminds me of the SBA. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. I mean, not enough. But.
Well, I just mean like when you get a loan from the SBA, the bank that you're working with acts like they're doing you this enormous favor, and that this prolonged process is all because the federal government is trying to. It's not. It's absolutely not. The bank that is sponsoring the deal takes a 10% stake in your deal. So if you're borrowing $1 million from B of A for an SBA, they've got $100,000 skin in the game. But the government, the SBA itself, that arm of the government, is taking 90%. So all the risk is really on the side of the federal government. In order to borrow $1 million from the SBA, your house is put up, your boat, your RV, your cars, all of your assets, right? Just to get an SBA loan.
And can the bank sell off their 10% stake, or they have to hold it? And
no, I mean, I think they hold that 10% stake, right? That's their skin in the game, but they don't really have any potential downside risk because if they sell your house at auction, dude, if your home is paid for in cash, right? There's no outstanding liens on the property. I mean, their skin in the game is only 10% of what the note is payable.
Yep. So it's a scam, is what you're telling me.
I think it's a tremendous scam.
So these banks don't care at all.
I don't think so. And the SBA process, like the mortgage business, is tremendously archaic. Mm-hmm. The software, everything involved is like dinosaurs, right? It's so archaic. It's so out of, it's like the last piece of the puzzle in the economy to get artificial intelligence, to get any sort of automation, right? Built into. If you go to a McDonald's and you order, right, there is more automation baked into ordering in a kiosk at McDonald's than there is in getting a loan.
And do you think that's because it's a public company?
I think one is that the government has such a large stake in the process of SBAs.
And mortgages, right?
Right, yeah, but absolutely. Also in mortgages as well. And because of that, there is no motivation on the side of the government to modernize. What's their upside? They don't care, right? What does a tank look like today compared to a tank from 20 years ago?
Exactly the same. Maybe a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no, and that's the government buying equipment, right, from a non-governmental company. So the company that's manufacturing these Abrams tanks, what do they care about modernization? The government's going to buy them regardless.
Yep.
And that's kind of how they feel about mortgages. Don't try to fix something that isn't broken.
And does it take a guy like an Elon to come in and shift SBA, shift mortgages, shift real estate?
Yeah, I mean, it takes someone, right? It takes someone that's willing to not sell and package those loans and then sell them back to the government. It takes somebody who's willing to take the brunt and to take the
risk everything.
Almost, absolutely. And that does sound like a lot like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Shameless plug for Cardiff. We're trying to democratize access to capital for small business owners by employing artificial intelligence to empower business owners to be able to borrow money to do so efficiently, but also cost effectively, right? And have that process be soup to nuts, in-house, in app, meaning they see the ad, they apply, and they get funding, within minutes. And I think to the extent that we stay focused on that singular goal, really it's really putting our customer, right, being wholeheartedly customer centric and really trying to understand and empathize with what their journey looks like. And I think if we do that and we execute on that, we're golden, right? We have won the customer over, disproportionately so, because no one else is willing to do that. And I think, as time progresses, we'll do that. Other mortgage lenders will follow suit, right? And you'll have some modernity, right, to the mortgage lending space. And hopefully, if I'm right about the auction and the bidding for homes, I think that's a necessary step towards the evolution, right, of buying and selling a home.
Yeah.
End it there?
End it there. That was good.
Let's wrap it. We'll see you guys next time.